332-7575. And, of course, on the web, it's Rick Robben, R-O-B-B-E-N, ConstructionNapa.com. Rick, great to have you back with us. I look forward to a great season with you.
So it's going to be great. Give us a call and talk to Tammy. If you like our quote, we'll take you down to our showroom. We'll pick out all your material and look forward to working with everybody.
Fans, the things I love about Rick, he does all the work. That's for me. Fans, I'm coming up to the Bay Area to see some Giants baseball. It also means I'm going to see Sonny from A&H Transportation. A&H Transportation, the East Bay's finest, serving the Bay Area since 2007. If you need to be picked up at the airport, it's 24/7. Taken to the airport, San Francisco, Oakland, San Jose. Whether it's wine tours, concerts, game events, medical appointments, Sonny and A&H Transportation will take care of you just as family would. Give them a call. 925-200-2824. You can check them out on the web, ah4limo.com. Email them, ah4limo at ah4limo.net. Sonny, I'll see you soon.
Seam heads. Our Giants game day coverage begins now.
It's the mosaic.
So before gloves start popping,
diving, he makes the catch!
And bats start cracking,
It is gone!
we bring you the voice of Bay Area baseball for the past 29 years.
As I always say, baseball reflects what life is all about.
This is Talkin' Baseball with Marty Laurie.
That's what we do. We talk ball.
On KNBR, the sports leader.
Fans, it's great to have you with us on this Sunday as we get ready for baseball. The Giants on their way to Sacramento to take on the Sacramento River Cats. Well, the Cactus League is over. The Giants are 19-6 with a number of ties, but they played great baseball here in Arizona, and now they've got to take it up to the Bay Area with Sacramento today and 2 with Detroit before a day off and the flight to Cincinnati for Logan Webb and Hunter Green on Thursday to get the baseball season underway. So they did everything they were supposed to do in spring training, I'll tell you that. And there's a lot of optimism around the ball club. So we're looking forward to the game today. Hayden Birdsong fighting for that 5th position as a starter goes. Landon Roop will follow him. And then after him, Joel Peguero, who throws 102. He's got a shot to make this ball club. And then on the other side, for Sacramento today, will be Kyle Harrison, who is still trying to build that velocity back up and the shoulder back up. And Keaton Wynn is down there in Sacramento as well. So there's a lot of baseball that happened. A couple of injuries, and Encarnacion with the fractured finger, out 4 to 6 weeks. Jung-Hoo Lee, of course, they want him in the lineup today to see what he can do. So we'll see how Bob Melvin handles that. But on another note, a sad note this week, the Bay Area lost. San Francisco lost one of their premier people, and that is Judge Tim Reardon, passed away. And I've mentioned Tim on the show a number of times. He and I were dear friends, and we go back over 20 years of playing softball together. He was my left fielder. I was the pitcher, and we had a great time and great teams. But Timmy was a good man. But he's known for his legal career, and he was an attorney general, He was a municipal court judge, a superior court judge, an appellate court judge, and he was a wonderful dad to Tim Jr. and Carrie and Liz and Sharon, who's now a superior court judge, and a wonderful husband to Maureen, who passed away a few years ago. But there are very special people in the world that come along, and Tim Reardon was one of them. And he was just a regular guy. We would go on trips to Notre Dame. He was from Notre Dame. He was a boxer. He was a baseball player. He never lost a boxing match. And we'd go back to Notre Dame to see some football games with Michael Gaines and Ben Winslow and me, Jim Collins, and our other friend George Roach, who passed away on Friday. This has been a crazy week. George Roach, another dear friend, another lawyer, he passed away Friday. So for the two this week, this was a bad blow. But having cases with Tim were great, and I never realized, and I did later on when he became an appellate court judge, he was brilliant, a brilliant jurist. And I remember one of the first cases I ever had with him, it was a case of a motion to suppress, who knows what, and he came out and he read an opinion. He wrote an opinion about the case. And I said, wow, that's pretty good. And he was a special man, and it's a big loss to the community. He's a great guy, Tim Reardon, and I know they had the funeral at St. Cecilia on Friday. And boy, Timmy, I'm going to miss you. I really will. And also to George Roach, who passed away on Friday. George was part of the crowd, too. It's a small little community at the Hall of Justice, and I was part of it for 25 years. And Mike Hanlon, who listens as former Superior Court judge, knows what I'm talking about. Timmy was a very special guy. And Timmy, we love you, and we'll miss you every day. All right, more coming up. John Shea joins us. Back to baseball. He'll talk a little bit about the Giants right after this.
Talking baseball with Marty Lurie on KNBR 104.5 and 680, the sports leader.
Gene Bagato checked in from the Tides up in Bodega Bay, and he said while the crab season hasn't produced great quantities, the crabs that have been delivered have been excellent. Down at the wharf, fresh crab is readily available for guests to enjoy, either in the restaurant or in the fish market to take home, along with all of the other varieties of seafood delicacies. And across the highway up at the inn, large, comfortable rooms are readily available at winter rates for those who want to get away but don't want to deal with 8 hours driving up to Tahoe. So if you're looking to get away for the day or a weekend, remember the Tides Wharf and the Inn at the Tides in beautiful Bodega Bay. Hey, it's Marty, and I'm here to tell you that it's time to discover the islands, and of course that means River Islands. They're celebrating 10 years of bringing the good life to Bay Area homebuyers. What's more, Del Webb, one of America's best-known builders for active adults in the 55 and over crowd, has just opened 3 neighborhoods at River Islands. They're building a huge community center on its own lake, all for buyers looking for a great lifestyle and a little less maintenance. I like that. Homes are priced from the 600,000s. Start your tour online at riverislands.com. Isn't it time for you to discover the islands? It sure is for me.
Prepping you for today's orange and black ball game, we now take you back to Talkin' Baseball with Marty Laurie on KNBR, the sports leader.
Fans, great to have you back with us as we get ready for Giants baseball today as they take on the River Cats. We're joined by John Shea, and of course he is one of the deans, as I call him, of the baseball writers in the Bay Area. He's now part of the Standard, leaving the Chronicle for after so many years. John, tell us about the Standard and why the decision.
Well, hi, Marty. Thanks a lot. I was told there were many people surprised in the building at the Chronicle when I gave my notice and said I was moving on to the San Francisco Standard. 25 years at the Chronicle and 3 years before that at the Examiner, which merged with the Chronicle in 2000, and before that, other Bay Area papers. I mean, going back to the 80s in San Diego, been in the racket a long time, and this is just totally new and refreshing and creative and exciting. And whether it's the people or the format or the way they do things, and they're just coming up with new stuff every day on sfstandard.com. And the sports department is kicking off. There's going to be some exciting announcements coming soon in that regard. And I just thought, hey, why not? I've been doing the same thing for a long time now. I'll be doing similar things, but maybe with the resources and the maybe the authority to do a lot of things I've been wanting to do. And that was pretty exciting and tempting, and maybe it didn't take long for a decision to be made. I mean, no issues with the Chronicle in terms of being there a long time and everything. And obviously I dig a lot of the sports writers and staff. So it was a big move, but in reality, it was kind of an easy decision. So I'm excited about it with no regrets.
Well, it's great for everybody in the Bay Area. You're doing a great job. The articles have been terrific since you've been doing it this month. Well, the ball club, 19-6. They rallied for another tie yesterday. They may lead the league in ties as well. But what's your assessment of the ball club, leaving Arizona, going up to Sacramento now, and a couple of games with the Tigers, and then it's off to Cincinnati. But this ball club showed something in spring, and you've been through a lot of springs. Well, what do you see in this ball club?
I'm not sure I've seen such an efficient, positive, and overall successful camp as I've seen this one under Buster Posey. It's been quite remarkable. The focus and the daily grind and the emphasis on first pitch strikes and, one-sided strikeout to walk ratio. I mean, you're seeing it through the rotation and the bullpen in terms of strikeouts versus walks. There's not many walks and there's a lot of strikeouts. That ratio by far leads the majors. They had the best record. And situational hitting with Willie Adames leading the charge. He's not afraid, even though he was fourth in the majors in RBIs last year, to go the other way. It's not just about jacking 400-foot home runs. And I'm seeing a lot of it throughout the lineup. Under Pat Burrell, the hitting coach, he told me that maybe what was emphasized in recent years under Farhan Zaidi, or wasn't emphasized, we're now going to emphasize, and we're okay with that. So it's a real mix of the old school and new school. Not that they are saying that or advertising it that way, but it's just kind of baseball. It's normal. It's everybody on the same page. It's everyone speaking the same language again. And that's how we all grew up, loving the game of baseball, and realizing there's more to it than the analytics and the computer and launch angle and exit velocity. So that's kind of cool and refreshing. And Posey says analytics ain't never going away, and it's not. So it's a real nice mix. And I think what you're seeing is success on the field because it's baseball again.
Well, it's pitching, too. Their pitching has been terrific, but they came in wanting to get a new identity, and they're running more. We see it every chance they have. If you watch the games, they're running. But, John, they're hitting a lot of home runs, and the home runs have been very dramatic down here. And I'm saying to myself, well, maybe this is a ball club that can hit some home runs on the road. Maybe not so many at home run at Oracle. But how do you see that? Do you see the identity that I'm talking about, the running identity?
Yeah, but if you look at the numbers, the stolen bases, while they were last or second to last the last 2 years, they're kind of middle of the pack. So overnight, they're not going to lead the league in steals. I mean, Fitzgerald, one of their fastest guys, he was hobbling a little bit and had the red light just until recently. Now he's got the green light. And Grant McCray, the other fastest guy in camp, may or may not make the team, depending on what Jung-Hoo Lee's health is, or maybe with Encarnacion, the broken hand. That's to be determined, but it would be wonderful if that guy was on the opening day roster because he brings life and energy and amazing speed, both on offense and he's by far the leading base stealer on this team. So he can steal whenever he wants. And he's got the ego of a Ricky Henderson or Lou Brock to match the skill. So he's not afraid to run on anybody or talk trash or let everybody know that he's going and then steal on him. So that's kind of a new thing the Giants have not had going back to Bochy, team speed. So it's not just stealing bases, but it's going first to third or maybe stealing a bag when you need it by anybody. And you remember Chapman had 15 steals last year. Adames had 21. Yastrzemski had a few. So I think overall you're going to see better speed, maybe smarter base running, and more awareness on the bases. So, and that's going to also be true on defense because you look around the diamond, around the horn, they're pretty much above average at almost every position defensively.
John, Jung-Hoo Lee, I haven't seen the lineup for today yet. I don't know if he'll be in it or not. But they want to hit him third. He's a very big part of this ball club. They need him, and they don't need him to start the season on the injured list either.
He might be the perfect player for that ballpark because he's not going to try to hit a home run because he can't every time up. He's no Barry Bonds. But what he does do is go gap to gap and hit line drives, and his bat to ball rate, his contact rate is like Marco Scutaro-ish, if I could say that, and that is tremendous. In other words, 90% of his swings, he's going to make contact with, whether it's a foul ball or a base hit or ground ball. He makes contact all the time. So as a three hitter, and he also crushes a lot of line drives and smacks it through the 3-4 hole on the right side or can go the other way. I think he's going to be a pretty valuable asset if he's going to be healthy. But now he's got the back issue, and at that age, back issues are not encouraging, especially a guy who needs that torque at the plate and who needs to run down balls in the gap in the outfield. So he's going to play. He said he was going to play tonight, and as well as against Detroit the next 2 days. And that's what management wanted him to play 3 days before he gets the day off Wednesday, a travel day, and then, suits up Thursday in Cincinnati. So that's kind of a big if. Maybe it's 50-50. I think he's believing it's better odds than that. But, without him and Encarnacion, the offense won't be quite the same.
No. John, it's amazing. I love doing this stuff with you early in the season and, of course, before the season starts. I call them predictions. But they always like to say, what has to go right for the Giants to get in the playoffs? Their number is around 80, 82 if you look at all the services and things like that. What would you say has to go right for them to be in the playoff hunt or even make it?
Well, I don't think their depth lines up, obviously, with other teams, other power teams, especially the Dodgers. So they have to be on the field. They have to show up. They have to play. And the beauty of the left side of the infield with Chapman and Adames, they're 155-plus games every year. They show up, they suit up, and they don't want to be the DH. They want to be infielders. So it's going to be hard for Melvin to say, hey, can you be the DH on Sunday or whatever, because they want to play. And that attitude, I think, is going to wear off on a lot of players too. But it's not a good sign when maybe their most threatening hitter, Encarnacion, will, not play until, at least May because of the broken hand. So that's a bummer because Wilmer Flores and Luis Matos, those guys are going to fill in as the DH. They're not as big and strong as or potentially powerful as Encarnacion. So that's kind of that's where you have it. But again, like you mentioned, it's pitching, it's defense, and as Bochy taught us all, just enough hitting will get you success in the postseason. So far the rotation has been healthy. From Verlander, who's 42, the oldest player in the bigs, to opening day starter Logan Webb, and Robbie Ray has been fantastic. He wasn't even on the mound last spring because of Tommy John recovery. And now he's got like 17 or 18 strikeouts and no walks in his 4 or 5 outings. So his ratio is what I'm talking about. And, his theory is you can give up a home run, but make it a solo home run. Don't walk the guy or two before him. So he's flashing signs of, Cy Young prominence from a few years ago. But, it's a long season, and they're going to have to use a lot of starters. Jordan Hicks hasn't been great in spring training. He's the number 4. And then it looks like, the number 5 battle, with Harrison bowing out, and, he'll start in AAA. He was optioned yesterday. It just seems like it's a 2-man race, and I think, it's probably an easy decision to make one a starter and one a reliever, Birdsong and Roop.
John Shea with us of the Standard. Always good to talk, but great to talk ball with you. It really is before the season or at any time. A couple of things I want to talk to you about. One is Bob Melvin. They have not exercised the option for the 3rd year yet, if I'm not mistaken. Does that happen during the season?
Yeah, so he is signed, guaranteed through 2025. He had a 2-year deal coming in at the beginning of last year with a option for 26. Now, an option, that's not a big deal for a manager. He'd probably rather be a free agent, and it's better negotiating strategy to not have that option, but they threw in the option, so technically they could wait till the end of the season and then pick it up or see how it goes. But it dawned on me, I think I counted 6 managers who have been extended since October, and that's quite a lot. And I'm thinking, well, what are the Giants doing with Bob Melvin? So I asked Buster Posey, I asked Melvin, and I asked a couple players who swear by him, including Chapman and Adames. Chapman knowing him the longest, going back to, 10 or 12 years, shortly after he was drafted by the A's. And both of them say, hey, I didn't sign here long-term to have 1 year of Bob Melvin. They want him around. So that's kind of putting pressure on Buster Posey to look at the situation. But then again, Posey and Melvin, they haven't been a partnership or dynamic for very long. So while they've known each other and kind of respected each other from afar, now they're kind of learning each other for the first time. So there doesn't seem to be a whole lot of urgency on the Giants side to get something done, but I wouldn't be surprised if it does happen, maybe a year or 2 extension during the season, or definitely afterward. Now, if everything falls apart, maybe it's a different story, but I just feel this team, if it finishes 500 like it's done the last 3 years under Zaidi, that fans might give Posey and Melvin a little break, especially if they see young players coming in, foundation pieces who might matter in 2 or 3 years when this team might be much better than it is now. So I think they're giving him and Melvin a little space to figure it out. Payroll did come down. There hasn't been any major trades. They picked up 2 free agents with Verlander and Adames, but overall, they certainly don't match up with the Dodgers. Now, I would argue that they have a chance maybe to finish third ahead of San Diego if the Padres rotation, doesn't match up, and if the Giants stay healthy in the rotation and they play the defense that they expect, they could make a play for third place, which could mean the playoffs if they win 85 or rather 88 to 90 games, which is more than anyone expects. But from what I've seen in spring training, it's kind of promising.
Well, it's going to be fun. It's going to. We were together quite a bit down here in Arizona watching these games, and they played good baseball. They really did. They played good baseball. We'll see if they can carry it into the regular season. One last thought for you. Today it's Landon Roop, Birdsong, Peguero. On the other side, Harrison will be pitching. Where do you fall on the Birdsong Roop debate?
Well, I think Birdsong is such a prototypical 4-pitch starter that it would be very simple to insert him as the number 5 starter and make Roop the reliever in long relief or whatever, because he succeeded in that role last year where maybe Birdsong, if he's not in the rotation, I mean, I wouldn't put him in the bullpen, and it's like you would have to send him back to AAA because you want him pitching every 5th day. But he doesn't deserve to get sent back to AAA after what he did in spring training. So I think he's won a job. I think they should give him the 5th spot, and I think they should make Roop the reliever. They don't have to do it today or tomorrow. They have, until game day, opening day, to figure it out. But that makes the most sense to me. Is that true with you?
Yeah, I agree with it completely. Birdsong, you don't want to mess with his head either. He's a kid. Roop's a little more mature, and he can handle relieving. Birdsong's still a young man, and you don't want to say, well, you can't start. We got to put you in the bullpen. I don't think that's good for his psyche. So I'm with you. Birdsong, for me, is the 5th starter. Roop in the bullpen, and then we'll figure out that last spot by Thursday. But we'll see. Hey, great to have you on the show, John. This is wonderful. People should subscribe to The Standard. It is absolutely worth it. It's got a great staff of writers, not just sports, but everything else. So congratulations on that. I'm looking forward to having you on again.
Hey, sounds great, Marty. We'll see you at the ballpark soon enough.
All right. Thanks, John. Thank you so much. That's John Shea. I almost said of the Chronicle. John Shea of The Standard. More coming up right after this.
Talking baseball with Marty Laurie on KNBR 104.5 and 680, the sports leader.
Everyone likes a party, but everyone loves a party at Original Joe's. With 3 private dining rooms, it's the perfect spot to hold your next big event. From christenings to corporate gatherings, we'll make your next party San Francisco special. Original Joe's, see you at the counter.
Fans joining us is Grant Power, President and CEO of Nations. Grant, last year we talked about the amazing breakfast at Nations. I'm going to ask you this. What's your favorite lunch?
You know, I'm pretty split. I guess I'm kind of like a pitcher who has two favorite pitches they like leaning on. I'd say half the time I do the hamburger and half the time I do the wild salmon burger. It really depends on which protein you want. We love our beef supplier in Northern California. We've been with them for decades. We test our beef all the time. We sell ocean-caught wild salmon. Friends don't let friends eat farm salmon. It's absolutely delicious. You know, to mix it up, I guess it's like a pitcher who has a two-seamer and a four-seamer, or maybe a four-seamer and a cutter. I actually go grilled onions on my hamburger half the time and raw onions the other half. Today at lunch, I got the French fries, but half the time I get the onion rings, and I had a wonderful slice of pecan pie. There's something for everybody, whether you like hot dogs or grilled cheese. It's really up to the individual what mood they're in, but my go-to is either the beef with the hamburger or the wild salmon, which is absolutely delicious.
Wow, I love it. Grant Power, President, CEO of Nations. Grant, thanks so much.
Pleasure being on.
Look through the window of the original Joe's on North Beach and you'll see two guys at the counter talking ball. Time for you to listen in to their conversation. Marty Laurie and the SF Chronicles' Bruce Jenkins are looking through the window of baseball. Sponsored by Original Joe's of North Beach and Westlake on KNBR 104.5 and 680, the sports leader.
Fans, it's great to hear the open, which means that Bruce Jenkins of the Chronicle is with us. And Bruce, another baseball season is going to start on Thursday. Giants and the Reds. And how do you feel about the Giants going into this one?
I feel pretty good. I love the opener in Cincinnati. A lot of fans probably don't realize that every year the first game was played in Cincinnati for the great history there. That's where the season always opened up. So that's a nice thing. But in general, I like the Giants. I mean, I like them because of their pitching. Here's a team with Kyle Harrison, who was such a great prospect just like a year ago. People were raving about him. People who really know what they're talking about, and he's still got that potential. But he's going down to the minors, and I don't know if they're going to miss a beat. So because of the depth of their pitching, I think you have to like them. The Encarnacion injury is a bummer, but I think they can cover for that. They need Lee to stay healthy. They watch out, maybe not dive for too many balls till your back gets 100%. And but they made some nice changes. They got Buster Posey in charge. I think Bob Melvin feels a lot more comfortable in his relationships with the front office people. So, yeah, I mean, I generally feel good about everything in spring training, but except the Chicago White Sox. But I do like the Giants. I think they're going to be fun to watch.
Yeah, I agree with you. We've seen enough spring trainings together, you and I, and just in our lifetime. And let's face it, you win 19 of 25 and a few ties in there. You're doing something right. And for this ball club, when you look at the walks and strikeouts for the pitchers, very impressive, and earn runs and all that kind of stuff. So I'm optimistic too. In pitching, there's 1,458 innings that have to be covered over 162 games. So I look at the Giants' rotation, and I'm saying to myself, if it's got to be the strength of the team. If Webb could give you 200, I'm going to say Robbie Ray 175, Verlander 120, Hicks 120, and Birdsong 135. That's about half of what you need. And if you have the Roops and the Jellies of the world and a good bullpen, maybe you can make it happen. But you're not going to get 1,000 innings out of the starting pitching. That's not going to happen.
No, I don't think so. Although I think, outside of Webb, the other guys you mentioned, I think they're all capable of getting beyond your estimate there. I could see Verlander easily going past 120. He wants to set a tone for this team where, we're not about openers. We're not about 8 relievers in a steady procession. We're about, bringing the game back to where it was, and that can only help a pitcher's confidence, his mentality, and his status on the team. And they've got a bunch of guys who can fill that role where you're not looking to the bullpen in the third inning or the second. And if they stay healthy, then they can take a shot at a big number of innings pitched.
Yeah, and then what made me think about it, I saw an article today that said Kansas City had such a great year last year, and the reason why their starting pitchers gave them 908 innings of the 1458, and they were only second in baseball to Seattle, which was the highest. So it's imperative to get innings out of your starting pitching. That's the point.
Yeah, it's so funny because the Dodgers won it all, and in doing so, they made about 6 pitching changes a game, almost accurately, on the average all through the postseason. They got like 2 quality starts, and I'd say Dave Roberts managed the heck out of that postseason because it's one thing to have the guys out there, but he pushed all the right buttons, and even though they're running out new guys every inning, they win it. But that's not the way the game's going to go. It seems like the Mariners and the Royals and the Giants understand that. And you have those 5 guys, and then the rest of your staff is filling in other roles, not like, whoa, we need you in the 4th and maybe in the 4th tomorrow. I mean, that's no good. It can work, obviously work for the Dodgers, but it's not a blueprint.
No, you can't live like that. I would say, like, you can't live coming back in the 8th and 9th inning all the time. You can't
Right.
live. It's fun. Do it, but you can't live a whole season like that. Well, let's. As I said last week, we always love your predictions. If you want to give a few for the West, the Central, East, whatever you'd like to do, I'd love to hear it.
Well, I've got the Giants second in the West, behind the Dodgers, obviously because of their pitching, and the other reasons that I said. Their defense is going to be good. I'm encouraged about Matos. Obviously, the left side of the infield is great. I just hope for good health. I wonder about this kid Ceballos. I mean, he's been around a little bit. He's shown enough that he can hit. I know he's not going to make the team, but if Encarnacion's injury lingers, or they might need some help with the DH, I wonder if is he something to consider, or is it just a sort of a spring training flash that didn't mean anything? So we'll see about that. I like Arizona third. They've got pretty good pitching, and they like where they're going. San Diego, I think, is going to pay the price for the big ownership squabble. They haven't done nearly enough the way they usually do. I think the mood is a little sour down there. And then finally, of course, Colorado. I think I'm liking Atlanta to reclaim their throne in the East with Acuna back. They lost Max Fried, but Spencer Strider looks like he's going to be the ace. Albies, Murphy, Riley, it's a good team. They got Profar. Of course, the Phillies are always going to be good. I like them second. There's nothing really a whole lot wrong with them. And what a division. I mean, the Mets get Soto and they keep Alonso. And what if Acuna's younger brother, what's his name, Luis Angel Acuna? Yeah. He's got all kinds of talent. What if he can play? And Washington's got a ton of good players. James Wood and Dylan Cruz, maybe even Darren Baker. So, I mean, that's the order that I like them to finish. And Miami will be dangerous, but I'm sure they're going to be at the bottom. I think in the Central, I'm going to go with the Cubs. A lot of good young hitters: Crow Armstrong and Suzuki, Dansby Swanson and Ian Happ, and Imanaga, if he's healthy, can anchor that staff. And I think they just have some good stuff going. And I almost picked the Reds. I couldn't figure out why. I just figured maybe they'll be the shock team with Ellie De La Cruz leading the way, as exciting as they are. Milwaukee always seems to be good, but it's kind of tough when you lose. They lost to Damas and Devin Williams and some other guys, and I don't know. I think they might have taken some too many hits. The Pirates are definitely coming on strong. Skeens wants to lead them right into the playoffs. I don't think it's going to happen right now, but they'll be fun to watch. And the Cardinals are just, how you and I always like the Cardinals every year, but it's different there. It doesn't feel the same. There's a lot of discontent. The Arenado trade situation was very awkward and hard to understand in some ways, and they're a little bit lost right now. So I'd have them. That's how I'd look at the National League.
Very good. This Hunter Green and Logan Webb, that's the matchup for Thursday. And you mentioned Ellie De La Cruz. This will be interesting to see how Cincinnati plays. Cincinnati seems like they're always banged up. They got a million guys on the injured list, but the Giants really almost come in at full strength. I hope if that Lee is okay to play. I have some doubts about it, but this is going to be an interesting series, I think.
Well, absolutely. I mean, Green could set the tone for the first couple of weeks, or maybe, who knows, maybe even the season if they get the pitching. But that guy's been throwing darts for years. He can be just unhittable, and he could easily shut the Giants down just right out of the gate. it wouldn't mean anything dire, but that's a great way to open the season with those two guys. Those are the aces of the staffs, and all-star candidates. And but I just love the idea of Cincinnati, and I've had a lot of great moments watching the Giants in Cincinnati, topped off by, of course, the Buster home run when they came back to win that playoff series against Dusty's Reds.
Boy, and then Lodolo and Verlander.
Yeah,
and,
another
Nick
good
Martinez,
one. Yeah.
Nick Martinez and Robbie Ray. Look, it's back. We're back. This is going to be fun. But let's look at a quick historical note. And again, I say it because it's the end of spring training when this thing happened. 1959, the Giants had 1 million first basemen, including Orlando, and they sold Bill White. Bill White was traded to the Cardinals for Sad Sam Jones, Toothpick Sam Jones, a great curveball pitcher who had a great 59 with the Giants. But how about that at the end of spring training?
Yeah, you kind of could feel bad for Bill White. He'd been with the New York Giants since 1953 when he signed. Had a big year in 56. Next thing you know, he goes in the Army, and when he rejoins the team, it's 58, and they're in San Francisco, and it's the summer, July, I think. And he's lost his job to Cepeda, who's on his way to Rookie of the Year, and they got McCovey coming on. And there's no room in the outfield out there with Mays and Willie Kirkland and Leon Wagner, Philippe Alou and Hank Sauer, and so Bill White there was no room for him. And obviously the Giants made out fine. If you keep McCovey and Cepeda, I think you're going to be pretty well covered at first base. But Bill White went on to some great years with the Cardinals. He hit over 300, 3 straight years. He was a 5-time All-Star, Gold Glover year after year on a World Series team. And so it did work out. And, sad. The original Sad Sam Jones pitched for the 1918 Red Sox.
Yes.
That was Sad Sam Jones. I don't know why they came up with a second Sad Sam, but he did. He was on the 1918 team that won the World Series, and that was the last one they won until 2004. So he's well written. He pitched for the Yankees as well. But yeah, Toothpick Sam or Sad Sam, whatever, like you say. He was a big hit right away, which made the team feel good about the deal. He won 21 games and led the league in ERA. He had one more good year, then he kind of faded out of the picture. But that trade worked out okay for everybody.
Well, Orlando and Willie told me that Sad Sam Jones, the Toothpick Sam Jones, had the best curveball they'd ever seen.
Wow.
And that Orlando, I would say to Orlando, Sam Jones, you go, curveball.
I love it.
Yeah, that's that. All right, this is good. Well, I'm ready. You're ready. This is going to be fun. We're going to have a good season, and it all starts Thursday. Thanks, Bruce. Thanks so much.
Yep, talk next week. Thanks, Marty.
Yeah. All right, take care. That is Bruce Jenkins. All right, more coming up. The Professor next, right here on the Sports Leader.
Talking baseball with Marty Lurie on KNBR 104.5 and 680, the Sports Leader.
Hello again, Marty Lurie here to talk to you about my good friends at Georgie Brothers, the largest family-owned furniture store in the entire Bay Area. Right now, and good through April the 7th, you can save $500. That's $500 on every wing-style chair and ottoman. I own Stressless Furniture. I love it. I'm telling you, it's the best. I can tell you it's the most comfortable place to sit in my home. So visit them at GeorgieBrothers.com. That's GIORGIBROS.com. Remember, tell them that Marty sent you. Just a quick note about the rooftop restaurant at the Via Hotel, the Hotel Via across the street from the park. They do a wide variety of events on the rooftop, from weddings and birthdays to corporate retreats and special events, holiday events, and any other special occasion you can think of. With stunning 360 views of the skyline, Bay Bridge, East Bay, and of course Oracle Park, the rooftop at Via is truly one of the most unique event venues in San Francisco.
Time now to go to Sunday school with the professor.
Hey, Professor, take it easy, will you?
Giants coach Ron Wotus with Marty Laurie.
Oh, I didn't know you wanted to get involved with the discussion, Mr. Helper.
On your home of Giants baseball.
Good answer. I like the way you think.
KNBR 104.5 and 680, the sports leader.
Brought to you by River Islands, one of the country's top-selling master plan communities just across the Altamont in Lathrop. Where else can you live on a lake next door to a park or walking distance to your kid's new school? With 10 new neighborhoods, River Islands is the one place you can't afford to miss.
All right, fans, it's great to have you back with us. You know what that open means. I love hearing it every Sunday. That means the professor is with us. That is Ron Wotus, who is the advisor and coach with the San Francisco Giants. Whoa, how are you?
Well, Marty, I just took the drive up to Sacramento from my home, and there was no traffic. And it's a beautiful day here. It's like 74 degrees and a really nice day, so I'm doing well.
Well, you've been in that ballpark a lot. And look, the A's are going to play there, and the River Cats, of course, to get the benefit of the upgrades to a major league park. You're there now. What does it look like?
Well, I'm glad you asked that. The first thing I noticed, obviously, there's a new structure for the A's clubhouse. And I went in over on the visiting side because I'm going to dress out with the AAA guys today and work out with them since the major league club's just hitting in the cage. I've never been on that side before, but the home sign is very, very nice. The A's got their own clubhouse, but the thing that stands out here outside on the field is they got a big batter's eye up there, big green batter's eye. That's brand new, and they have all the cameras in center that they're going to need here for the major league park, and they got a new scoreboard, a big, beautiful scoreboard. So besides that, seeing a new clubhouse, there's a few extra seats. It looks very, very similar to the way it did besides those items that I just mentioned. A few more billboards and advertising here, but very similar to what it looked like before.
Now, you're an infield guy. How does the grass look? Is it new grass? Does it look good?
Yeah, the grass looks good. Obviously, they resodded this. They have the cross cut going, which the A's have a lot at their park. So, which makes the ball zigzag, in the outfield. But no, the grass looks good right now. So hopefully it can hold up with all the use it's going to get.
Well, I guess, we talk about you and baseball. God, this is, I think, our 16th year together. What will be your role this year? Now, Posey is here. It's a little different organization. What are you going to do this year?
Well, it's a similar role. I mean, I talked to Buster. Really, the biggest change is just a new title, senior advisor to the president. But, the role is very, very similar. I'll be at the majority of the home games in uniform, and I'll watch it out of uniform for the Major League Club. And I'll come to Sacramento quite a bit. I'll spend a lot of time here. I go down to San Jose a little bit as well since it's close by. And we'll see what happens. If Zach or Buster needs me to go somewhere and see a player, I'm definitely available to do that, to work with somebody or go see somebody. So it's going to be a very similar role. I'll be in touch with a lot of the minor league coaches. Randy Wynn's new running the whole thing. We got Kyle Haynes, who I'm very close with. He's still here running the day-to-day operation. So I'll communicate with those guys and try to stay in touch with the minor league coaches and make sure that, everything's good with them. And if there's any way I can help them, I'll make myself available to them.
Well, you saw a lot of baseball this spring. And look, this ball club, 19-6 with a lot of ties. And you did spend some time in the minor league camp. But, when you do an assessment of what happened in spring training, and I know there's a lot of meetings you guys talk about it, what's the general feeling about the ball club?
Well, the feeling is good. You know, anytime you win baseball games, whether it's obviously in a regular season, it's important, but even in spring training, you feel better after the game. And, you know, we performed well. The team pitched well. Pitchers were on point. There weren't a lot of walks. We played good defense, and I felt like we even swung the bats better than we have in the past in the spring. So there's a different vibe, obviously. You know, I think Buster Zach being in charge has changed the whole dynamic of the feel of this organization, and I feel like it's, you know, back to the way it was when the previous regime was in with Brian Sabian and Bobby Evans and the people we had and the coaches that we had in here. So, you know, it's a real good feeling right now. Of course, it is only spring training. You know, we have our areas of concern like every club does, but I think we have more players at the AAA level that are ready to contribute in a positive way. I think they're a year older, and I think we're in a much better shape going into this year with the minor league players being able to help the major league club than we were last year. So that's a real positive as well. Of course, the additions of Verlander and Adames, the two, you know, biggest ones, really gives us two, you know, everyday leadership players in the major leagues, which is always going to help your club immensely right off the bat.
So you look at Ramos, you look at Matos, Bailey, Fitzgerald, and Canarcion unfortunately got hurt. Jung-Hoo Lee, which you hope to see today. Those guys have to take another step forward. They're in the big leagues, but they got to take another step forward, in my opinion.
Well, you know, to be where we want to be, you know, you just can't rely on, you know, your veterans that do it year in and year out. You need some young players to step it up, as you're saying. And I think every year that we've won, we've had some young players, you know, really contribute and establish themselves as everyday players. And we certainly need that now, whether it's on the position player side or with our young pitching. You know, we got a lot of good young pitching. And, you know, Roop's been looking very good. Obviously, Birdsong has great stuff. You know, Harrison's still obviously in the mix. We're going to have a lot of young quality starters in AAA that will be available to help the Major League club. And if we can get somebody to take that next step, as you're talking about, it just makes things that much better for the Major League club.
You know, I saw an article about the new pitching machine. Have you tried it out? It'll throw every pitch in the book. It's not the old Iron Mike anymore. It's like a regular pitcher out there. Have you seen it?
Yeah, it's in the lab at Papago Park in the minor league side in the Papa Dome, you know, inside, and you can set it to any major league pitcher you want, and it's got a video. It's a big screen, life-size video of the pitcher throwing, and then there's a hole up where the arm is, where the ball shoots out, and you can program it. And it throws the pitcher's pitches, you know, the velocity of the fastball, you know, the break on their slider or curveball. And then it also calculates whether the pitch was a strike or a ball if you take it. And it gives you instant feedback. So I heard some of Major League clubs had this machine last year, and some of them had them in the batting cage in the Major League Park, and Major League Baseball banned it, because it's kind of an unfair advantage unless everybody has that same machine that's supposed to mimic, you know, let's say the starting pitcher that you're facing. Is it 100% accurate? I don't know, but the guys like hitting off of it, and it's, you know, taken to a new level. But, you know, having said that, I still like the old Iron Mike, you know, the Iron Mike machine, which we have in the batting cages at Scottsdale Stadium. We brought that thing over, and the guys love hitting it off that because you can time the arm, right? You can time the swing of that arm. These other ones, the ball just shoot out. So it's not the best for your timing at the plate.
Did you ever try to hit off the new one?
Are you crazy, Marty? You huh? I've been swinging a fungo for how many years? If I pick up a heavier bat, I'm going to end up in the hospital.
I think maybe get a change-up. Have Greg Maddux throw you a change-up, you know.
Oh, those days are long gone. I don't even think about it anymore. And I'll tell you another thing. I don't go on the infield dirt very often because that ball's moving fast.
All right. The professor. All right. Well, the ball club opens up in Cincinnati. And Cincinnati always was the traditional opener, well, because it was the oldest National League team. And they had parades, schools were closed, it was a national holiday. Have you opened in Cincinnati before?
No, it's kind of usual. I mean, as long as I've been here, we never opened in Cincinnati. It seemed like we always opened somewhere on the West Coast. A lot of times, of course, with the unbalanced schedule that we had years ago, we always opened in our own division, I would say, 80% of the time. But now, obviously, with the schedule the way it is, I mean, we go to the East Coast with maybe a week left in the season. We never did that in the past either. So I can't remember the last time we opened. I think they went east last year for an opener too, I believe. But it didn't happen a lot back in the day. And I always felt it was nice opening in our division as well because we had the great weather, right? You had the good weather, whether you're in San Diego, Arizona, inside, L.A. Colorado was the only one that was a little bit suspect. But, yeah, no, Cincinnati does it right. I'm sure it's going to be a packed house. I remember the All-Star game when we were there for the All-Star game, and it was they put on a great show there in Cincinnati. They're definitely a baseball town.
Yeah, they love it. All right, but the other thing that it gets me every year, you go through spring training, and 19-6, and San Diego 6-17, and all of a sudden it's opening day, and someone flicks that switch, and everything is different. How does that happen?
Well, you're right. There's a different adrenaline to it. Years ago, as you know, Marty, the major league players would come in spring training to get in shape and get ready for the season. Of course, those days are long gone. These guys train year-round, and young players come in, ready to compete, trying to make a team. Even the veterans, they're much further along than they used to. Everybody evaluates so much more in spring training than we used to do. You always evaluate it with a grain of salt because you say, it's just spring training. You're facing, AAA guys at the major league parks, and it's tougher to evaluate. But I think there's a lot more evaluation going on today during spring training than there's ever been. There's so much scrutiny with the analytics and all the information we have today. So it's quite a bit different.
I was thinking about this, a couple of players that we had talked about. One was at Bo Davidson, and I know you probably got to see him a little bit more. And the other one is Sabalas, who plays third. He's hitting 600. He got a big hit yesterday to tie the game up, I think, or on Friday got a big hit. Let's talk about a couple of the minor leaguers that you've enjoyed working with. You mentioned Level last week.
Yeah, Level, obviously, Johnny Level, he's originally from Venezuela. He's been in the Dominican program for a year, and now he's in the States opening eyes with his instincts and the way he plays the game. You mentioned Sabalas here. He's a really good-looking hitter. Obviously, he produced in the spring, but he's got great hands. As you said, plays third base. We got him in a trade last year. I think it was from Atlanta, if I'm correct. Don't quote me on that, but there's a lot of guys, Marty. There's a lot of position players that have a chance to play in the major leagues. It's just a matter of them developing and getting better, and that's the name of the game. I mean, there's really too many to mention. I don't want to leave anybody out, but there's a lot of guys knocking on the door. I think the AA club should have a good group of young players. We got a few shortstops. Maui Ahuna, who's going to start late because he had elbow surgery. Arteaga's back, who got hurt, another shortstop that was high in the organization on the prospect list. He's back. His arm's back to where it's be. To mention a couple of shortstops. But there's players down there. Dakota, his last name's eluding me. Hudson. He's a mini Bo Jackson physically. He's got great strength. He reminds me of Bo Jackson, strong kid, played football. So it'd be fun to watch him develop it. And the list goes on. And that's the hardest thing in sports is to project. But it looks like, our draft has been pretty good in the tools that some of these guys have in the minor leagues. And now if we can develop them into major league players, that's going to be real good for the organization.
Well, that's you like to see that because you just can't sign free agents all the time. You got to develop players, and that's
Right.
the key. All right, let's go to Sunday school with the professor. I was thinking about this one this week watching the games. Verlander, man, this guy's got a good move to first on a pickoff, and I'm saying to myself, he's going to pick Flores off. Does the first baseman know when he's coming over? Is there some sort of signal?
Well, there is. There didn't used to be until they have this pitch comm. All the infielders now have the pitch comm in their ear. So, when the catcher goes down to push the button on the pitch, he pushes a throw over. And so everybody hears it. So they're ready for it. It's kind of cheating in my mind, Marty. And we never had that stuff, especially when there's a lefty on the mound, because some of these lefties that had a really good move and you're playing first base for the first time, you start bouncing off the base because you think he's not coming over, and he picks you off, to your point. It's happened to me in the minor leagues, but now with the pitch comm, he's coming over. But I will say this. One thing, Boch, and most of the managers I've been with, they always wanted pitchers to throw over on their own, not just when they got a sign from a catcher.
Right.
Because if the catcher doesn't keep his legs closed enough, the first base or third base coach could pick up the sign and relay it that he's coming over, or more importantly, that he's not coming over, and you can steal. So it's always good to keep them honest and have pitchers throw the bases on their own. But the problem today is they only have 2 throwovers, Marty. So, nobody's really wasting these throwovers. They're at a real disadvantage on holding the runners. So what they really need to do is just be quick to home plate. And that's the only way they're going to stop the running game, because 2 throwovers is not enough to contain a base stealer.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. Verlander can throw over. I mean, he's got a good move. From what I saw yesterday, that showed me something. So we'll see what he does. He had a nice camp, Verlander, don't you think, Will?
Yeah, he did, and you're right. Look, everything he does is, look, he's a Hall of Famer. You don't become a Hall of Famer because you can't hold a runner, or you can't throw to first base, or you can't make pitches. Everybody's learned so much. The young players, just watching him go about his business. He's a competitor. I've heard some guys in the dugout. It's like, hey, Verlander's on the mound. They want to make sure they're not laid out there in the dugout. Sorry, Marty, I'm getting harassed by one of my old umpires walking in from me. He's asking if they're still letting me in here. Sorry about that. But this is live, right? This is how we do it.
This is live. That's right.
This is live. But yeah, it's been great to have him in camp.
All right. One last thing. I was very impressed with the food that I saw in spring training, and the Giants have a chef, and there's wonderful food every day. Whoa, when you played ball, it wasn't like that, was it?
Come on, Marty. When I played, it was a bunch of kazarai back in the day. We didn't have the food that they have today. We have chefs in the clubhouse. They cater food in. We had the old Texas League steak sandwich, it had peanut butter and jelly, and then, of course, everybody loved a good hot dog. That's all we had.
Kazarai. I got you.
Yeah,
all right.
You got it? Yeah, you know that word, don't you?
I got it. Very good, Whoa. All right. Great to have you on. Boy, I love having these conversations with you. And we'll talk next week. It's from, you won't be in Cincinnati, but we'll be on early, and hopefully the club will have a couple of wins by then.
Yes, looking forward to it, Marty. Have a great week, and looking forward to this game here, watching the big league club play the AAA guys.
All right. That is the Professor Ron Wotus. Always have a lot of fun with him. And now it's time to join the great Kerry Crowley with more of the Giants warm-up. Kerry, how are you?
Oh, Marty, doing so well. Got to see you in Scottsdale yesterday. It was a beautiful day. Chamber of Commerce way to end spring training. How are you doing?
I'm doing fine. I thought it was a good spring training. I thought it went quickly. We haven't seen the dead arm week yet.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm waiting for. Every year in spring training, you get to the end of March, you had that dead arm week. And Verlander was okay yesterday, not great. So hopefully, we'll see a good game from Birdsong today and from Roop.
Yeah, I think that that's important for the Giants right now, is getting through this week, specifically limiting the number of injuries, because you and I were talking about this yesterday. It's not just pitchers that they have to be conscientious of right now, Marty. It's the trickle-down effect of the injury that Gerard Encarnacion has suffered. The Giants announced that he'll undergo surgery tomorrow on that fractured finger, and so they've got all sorts of things that they need to get through this week. And, Jung-Hoo Lee, his back, how's that going to hold up over 3 games? Making sure that Lamont Wade Jr. and Wilmer Flores are ready to go, because one injury impacts so many different spots on the rest of the roster. And I don't think any of us would have sat here on February 1st and said, the key to the season is Gerard Encarnacion's health. But all of a sudden, 4, 5, 6 different players could have an opportunity because of this, Marty.
Well, that's the one issue for me. I think the pitching came through fine. I really do. Sean Jelly got sent out today.
He did.
How about that? Which probably puts Trevino on the team, and Peguero, we'll see him today. He may be on the team with Randy Rodriguez, and Roop may be the long guy. So that's a different point. But the point I made for a good part of spring training is the depth on the offense. And, look, this is not a team that's going to score a lot of runs. They hit a ton of home runs in spring training. Now, that's Arizona. Can they duplicate it? Can they duplicate that in Cincinnati and Houston? A couple of parks you could hit the ball out. But that one injury to Encarnacion maybe puts VR back in the mix.
Yeah.
Perhaps. I sort of compared him yesterday. Not everyone agreed with me, with Adam Duvall. Remember, they couldn't find a spot for Duvall. And
Never.
Adam at third, first. But he had great minor league numbers. He was a slugger. And they trade him for Mike Leake, and all of a sudden Adam Duvall is, got some World Series rings. And I thought VR may be that kind of guy. So maybe that gives him a shot to get on the roster. But the Lee injury, if there is one, now he's going to play today. And he had an injection last week, so he probably had an epidural or something like that. He feels great, but he hasn't played in a while. And let's see what he does on his feet for 3 days to see whether he's ready to play on opening day. If he's not, it probably puts McRae on the team. Now, McRae may be on the team anyway because he does give that dimension of speed and power. And if he can, put the bat on the ball, it means something. So it looked like DH was set. VR probably was going to go out. McRae probably was going to go out. And now with a little bit of question mark here, you're not exactly sure how it ends up. But Matos, I think, is on the team. Ramos is on the team. And, of course, Yastrzemski is in right. It's just a question of who's going to be the extra guy in there.
Yeah, and I think the challenge with the Lee injury and the potential that he may not be at full strength by opening day is they don't really trust anyone else to play center field other than Grant McRae. We've asked Bob Melvin this spring, could you move Mike Yastrzemski over there in a pinch? And he's kind of hesitated on that. And I understand, look, Yastrzemski plays the wall well at Oracle Park, and he's someone who's had hamstring and calf injuries throughout the course of his career. You don't want him roaming center field in these big National League West ballparks, and so the Giants are going to limit those opportunities. But Matos isn't someone they trust in center field either, and that's a bit of a challenge right now for the Giants because when he was coming through the farm system, Marty, you remember this, he was a contact hitter. He was someone who might play center in the big leagues, had a good glove, and then all of a sudden he got to AAA in the major leagues, and he didn't grade out positively at any of the 3 outfield positions. You can't say, put Matos in left, he's a great defender there. Put Matos in right, he can absolutely get the job done there. He's really just an offense and bat-first player who doesn't hit for a lot of power. And so I think that he's on the roster, but I think he's truly a 4th outfielder at this point. And the issue with Grant McRae being on the roster is he doesn't have a whole lot of experience at AAA in the major leagues. I think the Giants would really benefit from Grant McRae spending April and May down at AAA Sacramento, getting 200 at-bats, stealing 20 bases, and figuring out how to cut down the strikeouts. Instead, they may be in this position where they have to carry him on the roster. He's getting infrequent at-bats. The strikeout total is still an issue for him. He's not stealing as many bases because he's not getting on base. He's not getting that practice. And all of a sudden, your lineup isn't nearly as deep. So the Encarnacion injury is a worry. The McRae injury, not the McRae injury, the Lee injury that could lead to McRae's presence on the roster is a bit of a worry right now. And the one byproduct of all of this, I think, is maybe David VR gets the opportunity that I think you and I both hope that he gets here, because you can't give away players with power, and the Giants were just about to give him away.
Well, he's got no options, so he's not going to be on the team unless something like you just described happens for him. So that's going to be the deal, and I assume someone would probably pick him up if they put him on waivers because of the potential of what he's done in the minor leagues.
Yeah,
but I think
come on,
VR
the White Sox, the Rockies, you can't tell me that those teams are able to pass up on a David VR these days.
Well, I'm going to tell you this. The Rockies just traded Nolan Jones. How about that?
Oh, my goodness.
To
yeah.
Cleveland. And the White Sox, the over-under, I think, is 117 losses. So
yeah, give me the over.
They may pick you up to play second base.
You see today that they let go of Brandon Drury, who hit 400 during spring training?
I know.
Unbelievable to me.
I can't wait for the season to unfold, though. It was fun in spring training. But like I said, this dead arm week is a real thing. So everyone should be aware of this to see how the team pitches that first week. But, you look at Robbie Ray going. You look at Verlander going against Lodolo. Robbie Ray and Nick Martinez, Hunter Green and Logan Webb. And you get all this bullpen. Now, what do you think about Birdsong? I would give him the fifth start, and he should get it today. Obviously, he'll get the pitch. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't mess around. He's a kid.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't want to tell a kid, well, we're going to put you in the bullpen. Let's see what happens and that kind of stuff. I'd let him start and keep Roop in the bullpen. But that means there's only one long guy in the bullpen, which for a team that has some age in the starting pitching, that worries me a little bit. So is it going to be Peguero, Randy Rodriguez, and Trevino coming in the fourth, fifth, sixth inning? So this is going to be interesting to see how they play it.
Yeah, I think what I would do is have Bivens be a long guy in the bullpen.
And
if
that's
they're
another
optioning
guy,
Jelly,
Bivens,
I'd go Bivens as a long guy. And here's what I do with Landon Roop, because I totally agree with you that Hayden Birdsong is the fifth starter. He's earned this. He hasn't walked a guy during spring training. He's got elite stuff. You can't pass up. It's like passing up on power when you've got a prospect coming through the farm system. You can't pass up a four-pitch guy, and that's what Birdsong is right now. And last year, accuracy and command was his issue. Well, he fixed that this spring, and so you reward him with the opportunity. Landon Roop has been great as well, but here's the issue. Jordan Hicks only can give you about 4 innings at a time. And last year he gave the Giants 110 innings. 72 of those were thrown by June 17th or so. They exhausted Jordan Hicks during the first half of the season. They said every fifth day you take the ball, give us 5, 6, 7 innings. When he's converting from a reliever to a starter, I thought that they mishandled him last year. So what I would do is I'd have Jordan Hicks start that fourth game in Houston. I'd have him throw 4 innings, and I don't care if he's at 60 pitches. I don't care if he hasn't given up a hit. You pull him, and you have Landon Roop finish that game. I have Landon Roop coming out of the bullpen, throwing 4 to 5 on Jordan Hicks days, and piggybacking behind Jordan Hicks, because I think that you want him to be as healthy as possible deep into the season so that when the July 31st trade deadline rolls around and you've got Harrison and Birdsong and Roop and Wisenhunt and Ragsdale and Seymour and Joe Whitman all ready to go, you can trade Jordan Hicks and get that contract off this roster, because he's not a Buster Posey guy. He was a Farhan Zaidi guy, and I don't see a world in which the Giants are married to Jordan Hicks for 2.5 more years.
Well, I disagree with you on that.
I knew you would. That's why I said it.
Nope, you're wrong on this one. Hicks has come in. He's in decent shape. He's put on some weight. He's worked on his legs over the winter. He deserved. Look, they signed him 3 years, $45 million, and Farhan was going to, beat the market. He was going to show he was the smartest guy in the room by doing this and getting a starting pitcher for $15 million. And the kid can pitch.
Oh,
he
absolutely.
Can. And I'd let him be a pitcher and see what you can do, because you got to save. I wouldn't want to pigeonhole Roop for that game, because what if Robbie Ray goes out in the fourth? What if Robbie Ray throws 97 pitches by the fifth inning?
If Robbie Ray throws 97 pitches by the fifth inning, the Giants aren't winning that game, and you have Spencer Bivens come out of the bullpen.
Well, you could. They could be winning the game because the way he pitches.
That's true.
He goes
That's
in
true.
and out so much. So, no, these are good arguments. I hadn't thought of Bivens, though, as another reliever. Maybe Bivens does get on, and it's not Peguero or Rodriguez or Trevino. Maybe it is Bivens.
I also like Rodriguez as a multi-inning guy. What do you think about that idea?
Yes, I agree with that. He showed he could do it last year. But then again, he was a kid, and they used him too much, and then his shoulder hurt. And he wasn't the same after that. Now, Trevino is probably a one-inning guy. That's for sure. Peguero has been around. He's been on 6 teams, so he's throwing 102.
It's amazing.
So maybe he could go an inning and 2/3, something like that. But Bivens, I like having 2 long guys with this starting rotation.
Yeah.
And for the reason you said about Hicks, for what I think about Ray is a guy, he feels great, and he's in a Cy Young form, but he's a guy who throws a lot of pitches. And Verlander is not going to be one of these 5, and you're 3rd time through the lineup, we're taking you out. No, it's
you can't
not
do that with Justin Verlander.
No, not with him. You'll let him go as far as he can. And yesterday he got to the 6th, and you can see he got tired. It was a different game yesterday when he got to the 6th inning. So I think you need a lot of bullpen behind the starters. And I think I like the idea with Bivens. I do. I like 2 long guys. I would have preferred Jelly because he could do it and he's done it before. But I guess they're going to choose somebody else in there.
Yeah, I don't think the stuff was ever there for Jelly this spring. I think that they saw him, they got a good look at him, he threw the requisite innings, and he just gave up too many hits and runs. The thing that was there was the strikeouts.
Come on, it's spring.
Yeah, it's spring, but he's got options. You send him down, and you choose Spencer Bivens over him. The thing is, we're talking about who's going to be on the opening day roster. If the Giants need to use Spencer Bivens 2 or 3 times during this first road trip, he's getting an option and Jelly's coming up. They're going to be interchangeable this season.
I agree.
So, we're having this debate back and forth, but they're the same role for the San Francisco Giants, and they're just going to ship them back and forth up I-80 to Sacramento and back to San Francisco.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. And Jelly is well aware of that when you have options, that he could be put in that position. But he's flexible enough, he's a good enough player where he can come back and do that. And he had a good year last year. But for a couple of games where they left him in there to wear it because they needed the innings, he was really very good last year.
He had the old Derek Law 2017, come on and throw 47 pitches when we're down 9 runs.
Derek Law had quite a year last year.
He did.
He's back.
Speaking of forever Giants.
Come on. Derek Law's back was Washington, wasn't it? I think it was Washington.
I think so. Yeah, Washington 2.6 ERA. How about that? 90
innings. It was terrific.
Innings.
They used him every other day. I love Derek Law.
90
Miami,
innings.
Dade
Wow.
County. Miami-Dade North. Yeah, he's a good guy. What do you do now? Is Wisely getting this job as the backup?
I think you have to give it to Wisely right now because otherwise you don't have any other left-handed hitting options. And this whole infield is right-handed hitters, except for Lamont, who I just don't trust at all against a left-hander. And the Giants are throwing him out there against lefties early in the season because they've got Encarnacion on the IL, so Wilmer will be the DH a lot of those days. I think that Wisely's got to get the job, but it's a short leash. And if Casey Schmidt goes down to AAA and proves that this spring was not an anomaly, maybe you just have to bring Casey Schmidt up. The other guy who's a factor in this whole equation, Marty, is Christian Koss with the spring that he had. The Giants rave about Christian Koss. I mean, they kept him around all spring. He's still on this roster. He's starting today for them. They love this guy.
Well, they may love him, but they don't love his bat.
He hit like 350 this spring.
I'm sorry. The bat isn't exactly there. He's a good glove. He came over in a trade. Was it Boston, I think he came from?
I think he was a minor league free agent. I think he was like the old Jeremy Shelley find in minor league camp.
Whatever it was. But, yeah, he was in Sacramento last year. The glove can play, and he can play short, and that's important. God forbid something happened to Adames.
Yeah.
So there's a chance there, but I don't think the bat puts him into contention. Wisely looks like the guy who can come off the bench. He can play 3 times a week, and it won't drive him crazy, where Schmidt, I think, has got to play at some point. And the truth of the matter is, for Schmidt, if the Giants ever want to make a trade, I think he should be in it. I really do, because he's going to be blocked by Chapman and Adames for a while.
Okay.
And the other guy we haven't talked about, and I don't know what the leash will be for him. They need his speed, they need his power, and he hit 5 homers in 5 games in a row, remember, as Tyler Fitzgerald.
Yeah.
Great kid, and missed a little bit of spring training, but strikes out a lot.
Too much.
And look, the Achilles heel of this team will be scoring runs. And there's going to be a lot of 4-3 games. You want to make it a 6-inning game and get that bullpen in the game. The bullpen is terrific.
Yeah.
And you need a Fitzgerald to steal a bag. You need a McRae to steal a bag. You need people to move the runners first to third and all that. Fitzgerald can kind of do that, but he's got to get on base. That's going to be another one to watch.
Yeah, and you know what? I think they give Tyler Fitzgerald 30, 35, 40 games, and they let him go throughout April. They let him go early May. But if it's not there, you've got Casey Schmidt in the organization still, which is why I don't trade Schmidt just yet. I think you keep him down at AAA. Yeah, you got to get him going. But if the trade deadline comes around and Fitzgerald has proved he's the everyday second baseman the Giants think he can be, that he's better than Tyro Estrada ever was, then you consider trading Casey Schmidt because he is blocked.
Yeah, how do you like the Tyro Estrada got hit on the hand? 8 weeks, he's out.
Yeah, brutal for him. That's probably why the Rockies are making trades right now, because Tyro Estrada was going to be their MVP.
More guys get hurt now. Now, Encarnacion was a fluke, and what should he have been in right field, that's a debate too, believe me. You know, we saw enough of him in spring training at first base, and then they had him in left field a couple of times, and who needed him in right field? Honestly, in the 8th or 9th inning to put him in right field, who needed that? But, the way pitchers throw today, everyone throws 98 to 100.
Yeah.
You got hit on the hand, there's a good chance you're going to get a broken bone in there.
Yeah, absolutely. It's an epidemic in baseball right now because guys throw 100 with no control, so as soon as you go in on the inside corner, boom, it's a broken hand. That's it. So, Marty, we got to move on to Giants warm-up and set the lineups and everything, but this was fun. We're going to do this again all season long. Yeah, no, I love doing this with you, and I know we haven't been on for a while, and I just want to say something about your dad, who I loved, FX, who passed away, and I know it's very important to say that, and he was a wonderful man, and my good friend Tim Reardon passed away last week, and George Roach, and, I don't like it. I will tell you that, but I want to make sure you know that and the fans know it, what a special guy your dad was. Well, we love you. He loved listening to your show, Marty, and we're so grateful for you. So thank you.
All right. Well, have a good show, and I'll talk to you next week.
Looking forward to it. Giants warm-up continues. KNBR 104.5, 680, the sports leader.
Now back to the show built for the orange and black family. This is Giants Warm Up on KNBR, the sports leader.
We are back for our final Giants warm-up of the spring, getting you set for the Giants against the Sacramento River Cats, the AAA affiliate of your San Francisco Giants, coming your way here on KNBR at 5 o'clock this evening. We'll have an abbreviated pregame show. I believe it's Dave Fleming and FP Santangelo on the call, but we will send things over to the Giants broadcast crew relatively shortly as we get you set for Giants baseball coming your way from West Sacramento. The River Cats sharing their stadium this season with the Athletics, no longer the Oakland Athletics, but they will trade off series in which the River Cats are home, the Athletics are home, and they're a temporary stopover before they ultimately move to Las Vegas. And I say temporary knowing that this could very well be a permanent home for the Athletics, as we have no idea what's going on with that franchise, when they will ultimately break ground on a Las Vegas stadium, and if and when their dreams of moving to the Sin City will ever be realized. But that's enough on the A's. Tonight is all about the San Francisco Giants as an organization. A big evening up in Sacramento. 3 more exhibition games to go before Logan Webb takes the ball on opening day, Thursday afternoon, against the Cincinnati Reds, facing off against Hunter Green. Terry Francona's squad, as Francona is out of a temporary retirement, and he is back in the dugout managing a Cincinnati Reds team that should be vying with the San Francisco Giants for a wild card spot in the National League. Both teams with hopes of making the playoffs this season. The Giants, of course, a 3-year playoff drought, but more importantly, a 10-plus year drought now of not winning a postseason series. Yes, the last time the Giants won a playoff series, a division series, a championship series, and even a World Series was 2014 when Madison Bumgarner and that bullpen gate swung open in Kansas City. Buster Posey was still in the first half of his playing career, and now he's an executive as the president of baseball operations for your San Francisco Giants. So you heard Talking Baseball with Marty Lurie this afternoon. It's our final Giants warm-up of the spring. We will be back with you next weekend, coming your way from Cincinnati as the Giants play on Saturday, Game 2 of the series. They'll send Justin Verlander to the hill against the Reds, and then it'll be Robbie Ray wrapping things up in Game 3 before Jordan Hicks takes the ball in Game 4, and then it's anyone's guess as to who's going to pitch Game 5. Landon Roop, who takes the ball tonight for Bob Melvin's squad, or Hayden Birdsong, and Hayden Birdsong will be my choice to pitch Game 5 right now. But again, both of these pitchers have had such a fine spring, and I think the Giants want to see what they do tonight against a lineup mostly consisting of minor leaguers, all, of course, in the Giants organization. So with that, let's take you through these Giants lineups that Bob Melvin has penciled out for today. Dave Brundage, of course, the manager for the Sacramento River Cats. For the Giants, Landon Roop on the hill. He will pitch. Hayden Birdsong in relief tonight for the San Francisco Giants. They probably won't use too many relievers as both these pitchers built up the expectation that both of them could take down 5+ innings as needed once opening day is here. For the Giants in left field tonight, it's Elliot Ramos, which is a look that you could see this season. Leading off against left-handed pitching, Ramos was outstanding last year, an OPS above 1,000 against left-handed pitchers, and the Giants looking to leverage that this season. They'll see that tonight with Kyle Harrison on the bump for Dave Brundage and his Sacramento River Cats, as Harrison was optioned to the minor leagues on Saturday despite being a part of this 5th starter competition this spring. Wilmer Flores will bat second for the Giants. He's the designated hitter. You'll see that a lot over the next few weeks as Gerard Encarnacion is out 4 to 6 weeks with the fractured ring finger on his left hand that he suffered, of course, diving for a ball in the outfield on Friday. Came up awkwardly. A very significant injury for the San Francisco Giants, and one of the first players who will get a look as the DH, get more regular at bats during the month of April for this team is Wilmer Flores, so you'll see him in the lineup tonight. Batting third, a piece of good news for the Giants and Bob Melvin squad. Jung-Hoo Lee is back. He's the center fielder. He's been dealing with back spasms over the past few days, had an MRI. It all checked out clean, so Jung-Hoo Lee went through pregame warm-ups. The expectation is that he will play center field, hit third. The Giants likely going to have Lee in the outfield on Tuesday and Wednesday, on Monday and Tuesday this week, with the off day on Wednesday before opening day against the Reds on Thursday. So the Giants ramping Lee up with key exhibition games against the Tigers at Oracle Park on Monday and Tuesday evening. In the cleanup spot in the order, an interesting look for the Giants, and this is one you could see against left-handed pitching. Luis Matos will bat cleanup. Even though he's more of a contact-oriented hitter, I think the Giants want to get a look at what he can do in the cleanup spot tonight with Kyle Harrison on the mound. Batting fifth, it's Lamont Wade Jr., the first baseman, not expected to make a whole lot of starts against left-handed pitchers this year, but that calculation may have changed over the course of the weekend with the injury news to Gerard Encarnacion. You probably would have seen Wilmer Flores over at first base tonight. You probably would have seen Encarnacion as designated hitter. This is a byproduct of the Encarnacion injury. Wade Jr. expected to face more left-handed pitchers over the next few weeks. So he will bat fifth for San Francisco. In the sixth spot in the order, it's Tyler Fitzgerald back on the diamond tonight, the second baseman. He's had a rough spring, a lot of strikeouts at the plate. The Giants hoping he can cut down on that, leverage the power muscle that he flexed last season, of course, bring some speed on the bases, which is something that this San Francisco team desperately needs right now. In the seventh spot in Bob Melvin's lineup tonight, it's the catcher, Sam Huff, the odds-on favorite to win the backup job behind Patrick Bailey on this 40-man roster. Giants have Sam Huff already on this 40-man roster. Max Stassi, of course, he's got an opt-out in his contract. The Giants don't have to keep him in the organization, but with the relatively limited depth at the catcher position behind Patrick Bailey, Stassi may ultimately decide that he wants to stay with the San Francisco Giants behind Sam Huff, even if it means some reps down at AAA Sacramento. They've got Casey Schmidt batting eighth, playing third base, which means Matt Chapman gets the night off against the River Cats. Casey Schmidt has done a very compelling job putting together a strong spring, a strong case for this opening day roster. He's blocked at third by Chapman. He's blocked at short by Willie Adames. He's blocked at second base by Tyler Fitzgerald. He's blocked as a backup utility infielder by Brett Wisely because Wisely is a left-handed hitter. Schmidt, a right-handed hitter. The Giants would love some optionality there, so I think that gives the edge to Brett Wisely. But with Encarnacion's injury, I think that it's entirely possible you could see Casey Schmidt in this opening day mix for the San Francisco Giants. Probably not in the starting lineup, but potentially as a DH option and a late-game defensive replacement option for Bob Melvin's team. But again, late game defensive replacement, it's not like he's going over and taking Matt Chapman's spot, the five-time Gold Glove Award winner at third base. So hard to still see how Schmidt is a true fit for this roster. And the ninth spot in the order tonight for Bob Melvin's Giants, it's Christian Koss, the shortstop, who's done an outstanding job this spring, putting himself on the map. You have to give Koss credit for handling the bat extremely well. He's shown the Giants that he can be more than just a glove-first player. This is someone who will go down to AAA Sacramento in all likelihood, play third base, shortstop, second base, just 27 years old, has yet to make his major league debut. But if the Giants deal with any injuries in the infield this season, I would bet that Koss is a good opportunity to make some lineups for this team, to make some contributions for this team. The Giants have been really impressed by what they've seen from him throughout the spring. It's a testament to Koss that they haven't reassigned him to minor league camp just yet, even though he does not have any major league experience. That's the Giants lineup that Bob Melvin will roll out for Dave Brundage and the Sacramento River Cats. Again, it's Kyle Harrison on the bump for Sacramento tonight. Here's the group that will play behind him in the field. Leading off, it's the center fielder, Wade Meckler. Meckler, of course, has been optioned to AAA Sacramento already, although it's not out of the equation that Meckler could find himself in the mix for the opening day roster. If things don't go well with Jung Hoo Lee over the next few days, is that back issue, it can flare up from time to time for certain players. Jung Hoo Lee dealing with that, hoping he gets through the next 3 games clean, but if not, Meckler could very well be back in the mix to travel with the Giants to Cincinnati. Batting behind Meckler in the order tonight, it's Marco Luciano, who is an early option down to minor league camp. He'll play left field tonight as the Giants transitioning him from his 2024 spots of shortstop and second base. He will be in the outfield tonight for the Sacramento River Cats, and expect a healthy dose of Luciano in the outfield throughout the months of April and May as the Giants continue to evaluate him at the AAA level. Batting third for the Sacramento River Cats, it's 2019 first-round draft pick Hunter Bishop. Big slugger. The Giants hoping that Bishop can have a clean bill of health this year and put him back on the map in terms of prospects who could make a big league difference this year. Bishop, of course, has a ton of power, has the Barry Bonds lineage of going to Sarah High School in San Mateo, Arizona State University as well. Bishop has just dealt with injury after injury in the minor leagues, has never had all that consistent of performances, but the power muscle is there, and the Giants would love to see that throughout the season at AAA Sacramento. Batting fourth, it's the first baseman, Jake Lamb, of course, a major league veteran. It's been a long time since Jake Lamb had a productive season at the major league level, but he came to this organization this offseason looking for an opportunity. It appears as if that opportunity could come at first base over the first few months of the AAA season. So if anything happens to Lamont Wade Jr. or Wilmer Flores, obviously with Gerard Encarnacion down right now, Lamb could be one of the first guys up from AAA Sacramento. They, of course, would have to purchase that contract from the minor leagues if they were going to make a move. It would be a 40-man move and a 26-man move. Behind Lamb in the lineup tonight, it's Logan Porter, the catcher for the Sacramento River Cats this evening. Expect Logan Porter to get a lot of time at AAA Sacramento. He's got some major league opportunities under his belt, 6 for 31 in limited major league stints in his career. Of course, with the Kansas City Royals, he's 29 years old, but he's always been a high on-base percentage guy in the minor leagues. In his minor league career, a 397 OBP with an 856 OPS. More of a contact hitter than a slugger, but Logan Porter is someone who could find himself on the Giants' radar later on this season. Batting sixth for the Sacramento River Cats this evening, it's Oslevis Basabe, who was claimed off of waivers earlier this offseason. He's a backup infielder, just 24 years old, can steal you a base in his minor league career. He's got 80 stolen bases, but he's more of a defense-first, contact-first bat at the minor league level. Again, another high on-base percentage guy, Oslevis Basabe, who was playing in the Tampa Bay Rays organization not all that long ago. Batting seventh for the Sacramento River Cats this evening, it's Jairo Pomares, designated hitter who's always had some power potential, has just struggled to put it all together in the minor leagues. A Cuba native, 24 years old, 12 home runs last season in the minor leagues. He's got more than 50 in his minor league career. He struggled a bit last year as he worked his way up to Double-A Richmond. Always difficult for hitters there, so he may be repeating Double-A Richmond, but they may give him a shot at Triple-A Sacramento early on this season. In the ace spot in the order for the River Cats tonight, it's Brett Auerbach, who's always been a fan favorite at whatever level he's played at in the minor league organization for the San Francisco Giants. Had a really strong season a few years ago with High A Eugene. He's 26 years old, utility guy who's played all over the diamond, can even catch a little bit. 264 average across two levels last year, 756 OPS. Not someone who's on the major league radar right now for the San Francisco Giants, but should be fun guy to watch at AAA Sacramento this season. And then the shortstop this evening for the Sacramento River Cats, Sergio Alcantara, 28 years old, 28 career home runs in the minor leagues. He's always been a glove-first player. I think Alcantara came into the organization hoping that, hey, if something ever happened to Willie Adames, he would be the first guy up from AAA Sacramento. It looks to me like he could get more opportunities at second base in the minor leagues this year, because I think the Giants will want Christian Koss down there at shortstop for the River Cats, as long as they've got full health in their infield, as long as you see Matt Chapman over at third, Willie Adames at short. You've got Tyler Fitzgerald at second, Lamont Wade Jr. and Wilmer Flores over at first base. Christian Koss will be down in the minor leagues, taking the majority of the reps over at the shortstop position, with Casey Schmidt playing some third base. Expect Alcantara to play some second base for the River Cats this season. So that is it for our Giants warm-ups for spring training. We are warmed up for opening day, ready to go Thursday afternoon on KNBR, 1:10 Pacific. First pitch, the Giants will take on the Cincinnati Reds. Hunter Green will throw the first pitch of the regular season for Cincinnati. Logan Webb for the San Francisco Giants, making his fourth career opening day start. Giants in his hometown, native Sacramento. Logan Webb gets to watch the team this evening as Landon Roop takes the ball for the Giants. Kyle Harrison on the hill for the Sacramento River Cats, fresh off of being optioned to Sacramento. When we come back, we'll throw things over to our Giants broadcast crew. It is Giants warm-up, signing off for the regular season. Signing off for spring training. We'll be back for the regular season next Saturday and Sunday with special extended edition shows this year. I am Kerry Crowley for our producer, Rafael Corral. You're listening to KNBR